All right, and welcome back to another day on the budget build. So today we're going to sand this boat out. We are going to wipe it down with prep solvent, and then we're going to tape it off prior to painting. That's what you're going to see in this video here. So the first thing I did is I started sanding this boat. I started with 320 thinking that would do the job. I then dropped down to 240. I then dropped all the way down to 120, which was a lot more aggressive than I was originally intending, but this boat's just in such bad shape, I just didn't have any other choice. If I wanted to make any real headway, I had to really chew into it with the 120. Now, you might be asking, why go so aggressive with the sandpaper? Why not, start at 320 and just build up with primer and things like that? Well, if this was a show boat of any kind or, a boat with sentimental value or anything like that, sure, I would invest the time and do it a different way. But again, our whole intention with this is to make it good enough, make it respectable, make it a decent boat, and turn around and flip it. So what you're seeing here is I'm sanding the boat with 120 after I tried a couple different grit changes. I'm using a soft back pad on this. And the reason why I'm doing that, again, I'm not making this a show boat. I'm just trying to smooth all the rough edges. This boat was hand painted with either some type of two-part epoxy or some very, very, very thick house paint. I can't really figure out what it is, but I could just tell you it's close to impossible to really sand into it really well and take out a lot of the imperfections without going really heavy with the 120. What I'm doing here is I have my shop-vac hooked up to this again. This is a really good system. It's pretty dustless. It's probably 95, 98% efficient. The shop-vac does a really great job extracting all the sanding residue. Typically, you wouldn't want to prep the vessel where you're going to be painting. I knew that I was going to do a primer coat later on in the day here, and I was going to sand back a lot of that. So if I ended up getting some contamination in the primer coat, I wasn't too worried about that because, quite frankly, I wasn't going to be able to paint this boat for a couple days just with scheduling, work, and family, things like that. So as I work my way around the boat, again, sticking with the 120, it's doing a pretty good job. It's taking out a lot of the surface imperfections. There's still some deeper gouges and things like that, which I'm just not going to address. The color scheme for this boat, I'm going to go old school. I'm going to do seafoam green towards the top of the hull here. And then I'm going to do a flat white. And the reason why I'm doing that, the bottom of this boat, it's watertight. It is structurally sound. It's just been dragged up on rocks for 30, 40 years. And I'm just not going to put that type of body work into it. It's just not that. It's just not that type of boat. So the flat white will end up hiding a lot of imperfections. So after I get done sanding it, I then come back with some compressed air. As you can see here, there's really not a whole lot coming off. Again, that combination with the dustless sander and the shop-vac does a really great job. So just blowing off any type of loose sanding residue here. Then I'm going to move on to taping off the boat here. I'm not going to worry about taping and draping the trailer at all. There's another trailer project I'm going to be doing here shortly where I'm going to be prepping and painting the trailer, so I'm not going to go too crazy with protecting the trailer from overspray. But I am going to protect the cap rail on the boat. I'm going to tape this off pretty carefully. There are a bunch of rivets that are holding on this top aluminum cap, so I just want to make sure I have those covered well so I don't get spray underneath there. After I get done taping off the hull, I will then wipe it down. Like I said earlier, I'm going to wipe this down with some Pettit 120 brushing thinner. I'm going to let that flash off and then move on to paint.